everyone. Today is May 15th, 2022. And today I have the pleasure of introducing Elena Danaan, who so graciously accepted our invitation. And we're really, really happy to have her here. What I'd like to discuss are some of the aspects in Elena's book. It's quite a wonderful book, Gift from the Stars, and where she talks about 110 different races of extraterrestrials that are visiting the planet, as well as her own abduction experience. And since Vancouver UFO does one story at a time, I really wanted to have Elena on to tell us a little bit about her story. She was abducted when she was 9 years old, and then she was saved by benevolent extraterrestrials who saved her from people that were out to do her harm. Anyway, so we will be asking Elena about that experience. And I'd like to welcome you, Elena. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming and visiting with us.
Thank you, Mimi. It's a great pleasure always to do little meetings and gathering like this with groups. I think it's very enriching for all of us. And I look forward to interact with everyone.
Thank you so much. I keep looking at your YouTube page, and it just gets bigger and bigger. And I'm like, oh my God, how is it that Elena has accepted our invitation? She must be so busy. Anyway, I'm so happy that you're here, Elena, and to talk about your wonderful book.
Thank you.
I'd like to get started. If you could tell us a little bit about your background. I know that you're from France and that you worked in Egypt. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Mimi. Well, I was born in France, and I studied arts and then archaeology, and specialized in Egyptology. And I worked many years in archaeology. I spent 8 years in Egypt, field work, and I came back to France. I worked in the south of France on different sites, and I moved to Ireland. So I stopped working in archaeology when I moved to Ireland. I studied paganism and druidry and all the pagan traditions to enrich my knowledge. I became a certified druidess. I've been a shaman since always, because it's from my maternal bloodline. My granny trained me, and so that's who I am. Writer also.
Yes.
Well, I became known because I started to talk about my abduction by gray aliens and my rescue. And I wrote a book about that. And that's how everybody knows me.
Mm-hmm. Well, Elena, actually, I was very, very interested in the work that you're doing with sound. There was a moment in your book when I realized that everything is sound. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. Everything is sound. So I was hoping that you could expound on that a little bit and tell us about the work that you do in that area.
Yes, it's true. I studied sound healing and all the science that is behind sound. Why? Because every matter is the atoms that compose everything are linked by vibration, you know, and that vibration, it's frequency, and frequency is sound, and sound binds everything in the universe. And when you know the right frequency, you can modify matter. You know, you can modify the holographic structure of reality, and you can also heal. Because you modify the binding between the atoms, you can modify the tissues of an organic body, hence heal. And it acts also on the consciousness, on the mind. So learning about how to apply techniques of sound work with tuning forks or balls. Tuning forks are fantastic tools. They're like surgical tools.
Mhm.
It's the, how to say, the tuning forks are the prehistoric tools of this science. You know, we are using tuning forks, but it's developed quicker and quicker. We have the rife machines. We have all sort of the med beds use frequency and sound as well. So yeah, as we, it's just a start. It's fantastic.
Do we have med beds on Earth now, Elena? I know
Yes.
a lot of
Oh,
people.
yes. I believe so. I believe so. There are people who try to to scam or make money with fake med beds. So we need to be very careful. But I know there are med beds in some places, hospital. I suppose. I believe that. Yes. Now.
And I'm so interested because I mean, there's uh, there's people who claim that they have the tachyon chambers.
Yeah, when it's private companies making money, a stupid amount of money with it, I wouldn't trust. There's gonna be really scammers and people who are trying to, you know, extort money from gullible people, people like me, like us, like anyone. We
Yes,
can be easily tricked.
right,
Desperate people. And med beds are supposed to be free.
right,
Okay.
right.
So if people ask you like $10,000, I mean that's a scam. That's a
That's right.
scam,
That's right.
you know.
Wow, it'll be so wonderful when the med beds are available.
I tried a med bed in 2000, year 2000. I didn't pay anything. It was
Wow.
in a private clinic in France. It was experimental.
Yes.
Um, but I pay for the consultation and the hospital room, okay?
Yes.
But I didn't pay more for the machine.
Wow. Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. So, are they still doing that in France? And
No, well, the clinic I went, the clinic disappeared. It's another
oh,
building now.
yeah.
But I suppose it's coming back. So we just need to be patient and attentive and really use our discernment. Med
Yes.
beds are supposed to be free. Okay, that's
Yes.
the point. Either free, either you pay, but it's reimbursed by your medical card.
Hmm.
It needs to
Yes.
be in the system, in the
Yeah.
medical system. If
Right.
it's not in the medical official system, it's not right.
Hmm. Okay. That's interesting. That's very
Yeah.
interesting. Well, so Elena, can you tell us a tiny bit about? I know that your initial abduction by Grace was a very traumatic thing. And if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. What I find, and I think a lot of researchers are finding this now. I'm an abductee myself. I'm more of an abductee than a researcher, exactly. But I got into the work that I do now because it was so difficult for me to come out and tell my story for 50 years. I'm
Yeah,
um,
I know that.
I'm almost 69 now, and this happened to me when I was 14. So, you know,
69.
yeah,
Wow, you don't look that age at all. Oh my God.
thank you.
60. I thought you were like me, in your 50s. Oh God.
No, no, no. I'll be
Well, wow, you have
51
good
this
genes.
month.
You look great.
You, same as
Sorry, I
you.
just was shocked. She's not fine, this
Yeah,
lady.
thanks.
Oh my
Well, I
God.
know things were
Wow.
done to me all my life, right? So, but I never had those experiences that people talk about with the Greys. That wasn't the people that contacted me. And
Okay.
uh but a lot of the things that are coming out with people, a lot of them are very, very positive stories. you know, more and
Yes.
more, there's positive stories. Whereas, you know, 20 years ago, it couldn't be more of a negative thing, but we've changed completely. So can you talk about that a little bit with us, Elena?
Yes. Yes, it's very simple. It's that the regressive grays have been kicked out of the star system. The the difficult abduction that still happen are abduction performed by the Earth military with fake ETs.
Mhm.
But the abductions now by real greys, tall greys or small greys, um, I mean, it shouldn't happen anymore. You know, it's just maybe some groups of humans or I'll keep on doing this, but it should be stopped now. It should have stopped. And so I know a few QHT people who say that they have less and less cases of abductions by grays. It's less and less and less, or not even anymore, you know, and that's really confirming what I have been told. So, and there are different types of abductions. There are not only difficult abductions by greys or reptilians. There are also abductions that are positive, that are made by the Council of Five, good people, good organizations that take care of either their envoys or either people that they are here to help. So these people, you are going to be taken on a ship. It's very nice, very gentle. You will not be medically touched or examined, just probably checked out as I have been when I was a baby, checked out with just lights and instruments that do not go inside of your body. It's
Mhm.
not invasive at all. It's not traumatic. And it's quite a wonderful experience because you're like with family, you know? You
Mhm.
feel this connection, this love, this, and you just don't want to come back. You know, so there's the two types of abductions, and the bad ones just have stopping.
Well, people talk about the gray alien hybridization program. I was interviewing Miles Johnson. I don't know if you know him from the Basis Project. And he was
Oh
saying,
yes.
yeah, and he was saying that the hybridization program started way back in the 60s
Yes.
in some of the bases in England. So I think it has happened quite a bit. But I was interested in your story because you were rescued from a very bad thing, right? From a thing that was physical and that was not a good thing. And then you met Thoran and you met the rest of your family. Just how Thoran came into your life and
Okay, yeah. Um, well, I was 9 years old, and I saw a spaceship above the house, and I was taken during the night by small gray aliens who are the small gray aliens work for the tall grays from Orion. So
yes.
you rarely see the tall ones because the small ones are the little workers for the big ones. So most of the time you just interact with the small ones. They took me and they started to prepare me for future implantation of uh, alien fetuses or eggs. I would call that eggs. So they put something in me, and this thing had to mature. And when I would come, fertile, everything would be ready, and they could implant me straight away. So they started that, and in the process, they couldn't finish because in the process, the ship was hacked, and I was rescued by people. So we call them Nordics, tall blonde people from the Galactic Federation of Worlds, and I was taken on board a scout ship and taken care of, and brought back to Earth. So that's my story.
Right.
And that's Thorhan was the captain of the ship, and he rescued me, and we kept contact. He looked after me all my life until today, and today we are working together even, you know. So that's who he is. He's from the Pleiades. He's
Yes.
from the Pleiades.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Um, yes. So when you were 9 years old, that seems a little bit early, you know, for this type of thing. But what they were doing to you was really different, also, right? Because they were planning on implanting reptilians in you. So,
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
in fact, most of the children, the first abductions happen around the age 8, 9, 10, just before puberty. It's very interesting.
Okay, yeah. Because a lot of people talk about 12, 14. Mine was when I was 14, you know, sort of that beginning of the fertility time. But yes, yeah. So what do you think about that? What do you think about those programs now, Elena? Do you think that because they were happening since the 60s or maybe even earlier, that they have come to fruition in some way? You know, do we have the hybrids that everybody talks about? Do we have them happening on Earth?
Yes, so that's the trick. Since the late 1950s, that was what the Greada Treaty with between the MJ12 and the Orion Nebu Grays was about, to sign about to allow these Greys to abduct people on Earth, and it was really written. We don't mind your business and you don't mind our business. The thing that the agreement was for abducting about 150 people, but they started to abduct about 1 million people each
Wow.
year. And each people, genetic material was taken all their life continuously to produce hundreds of hybrids. Why? Because regarding the Prime Directive, they cannot just come and take over the planet. They can't do that. They'll be taken off. So it's an invasion by the womb. It's very it's part of the art of war. If you can't invade a planet by force, you invade it by breeding. You breed yourself in. So these hybrids are supposed to replace the humans of Earth. And so there are billions of them, and not all on Earth. There's small percent on Earth in the population, very small, but off world in ships. I mean, they are half Earthlings, so they have rights, you know. And now, so they're ready. All the hybrids are here. The Greys have been kicked out, but the hybrids are here. And some people, humans, who have been taken as well, have been programmed to be the catalyst of this replacement. Okay, that's very severe. It's very important. These people are manipulated to say and try to convince humanity to accept and welcome the gray hybrids as ours, as our brothers and sisters. Don't do that, because we're back in 1954. If we do that, we are doomed. That's very important. That's very important. We must not listen to the narrative that say we must welcome the gray hybrids, because if we do that, it's consent. We ask to be invaded. We ask for being invaded. And the Galactic Federation can do nothing by law because we decide and we welcome them.
So
Nothing
all of
can be
these
done.
ships that are full of hybrids everywhere, the ones that you're saying millions are out there. So then if human beings accept the agenda, then everybody's going to start coming. And of course they have rights. As
Yes. Yes.
Right.
These hybrids have gray souls. They are not human. They have gray souls. They are grays inside. You understand? They are grays inside. That's terrible. The future of Earth, I've seen it. It's humans. It's not grays. Do not welcome, do not consent to welcome gray hybrids. They are grays. They're gray souls in it. And they once they are in, they won't, because we've welcomed them, nobody can take them out. And they are grays inside, so they are connected to the hive. We're doomed.
Right. So it's hive thinking. It's not necessarily individualism anymore. It's
No, they are grays.
Yeah. That's
That's
very
over.
interesting. Very interesting. This is one of the things that I really wanted to talk to you about, because I know that you feel very strongly about this, and I like the way that you explain it, because a lot of people are definitely going along with that agenda. Now, I mean, you know, in the end, Elena, I think that things will be what they are, right? Whatever will be, will be. You know, and whatever people consent to is what they're going to consent to. But, you know,
Yes.
I have a lot of hope for humanity, that we are
Me
strong
too.
and that our DNA is strong, and that, you know.
I know we are making it, because many people are fooled by this manipulation and these false narratives. But at the end of the day, we are super intelligent, all of us, and we have discernment. If we step back and we think, and we, you know, we all can find this discernment inside, because we're all extraordinarily intelligent and spiritual beings. That's who everyone is. So that, because of that, I think that is what is going to make the future successful, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, because I believe so much in humanity, blindly.
One thing I wanted to have you explain, if possible, is what's the connection between the Greys and the Reptilians? Are Greys actually a kind of reptilian?
I have in project to write a book about only the Greys. It's a project that's started as madness in my life. Also, the Greys, they can be three types: reptiloid based, so they're cold blood and oviparous, you know. That's the majority of the Greys. And these ones will have a hive consciousness, okay, reptiloid based. Then you have the insectoid based. These one also are plugged on the hive consciousness. And you have a third type, which is humanoid based. And these ones will have individual thinking, consciousness. They're not connected to a hive. And they are most of the time the positive gray species, such as the Egaroth, the Emerther, and a few others that I don't remember the name, or I don't know even. So human-based, reptiloid, and insectoid. So the neighbor grays, the Orion groups, are most of them all reptiloid based. And you have the other, the reptiloid reptilians, from those we call the Draco reptilians, because they come from the constellation Draconis. These ones are they have different names, but the most nefarious are the Sikar and the Gyansar. The Sikar are the Sikar Empire, That's the reptilians that we have had on Earth, you know. So the Sicard empire is a competitor to the Nebu Orion group of greys, of reptiloid greys. Okay, two competitors for territories and business in the galaxy, this galaxy. Sometimes they fight each other, but sometimes they'll have agreements to, like for Earth, because they profit together of a situation, so they make business. They have business agreements sometimes. It's very hectic, their relationships. I don't know, you know. Greys are extremely organized. They are like organized, and reptilians are not. They're like, you know, if you have for the Star Trek fans, the Trekkies, compare the Greys to the Borg and compare the Reptilian, the Sicard Empire to the Klingon Empire, and you will get it. That's what I would say.
Okay, yeah, I'm not that much of a Trekkie, but I do know the two races that you're talking about. Yeah, you know, it's a very, very complicated. I mean, politics on Earth is complicated, and then you add all of these crazy things, right, to it, and it's very, very hard to know. But
I actually know more about the politics off world than on world.
yeah, I
That's
know.
funny. That's very funny.
We're seeing some crazy stuff right now. You know, strange
Oh yeah.
alliances. One thing that one question that I have that I'm hoping that you can clarify. Anunnaki. What are the Anunnaki? What are they?
Okay. The Anunnaki are gray reptiloid, tall gray reptiloid based people. What's interesting is that they don't have a hive system. They are very special. They have individuated consciousnesses. So they look like humans. I've been told that Anunnaki ni in their language means human-like. It can have different meanings, but that's a meaning that I have been given. So they are tall grays. They have a reptiloid based, but they are mammals. In the galaxy, there are races. I do not know how it works. They have reptiloid genetics, but they have babies like us, like humans. You know, I don't know the name in English. Mammals. You know, that's very interesting. And so do the Anunnaki. And so they come from a parallel dimension, and they are based in the Orion zone, because there's a portal in the Orion zone, a portal nebula, and they come from there. They come and go from this portal, and they are based in Orion. They are mainly based in Orion. So that's who the Anunnaki are, of what I know.
So when the Anunnaki came, and you know, if it's true that they did the Sumerian culture and that you know they jump started humanity, how do you feel about that? I mean, you know, and if you look at things like the pyramids and you know all of this stuff, I get really confused because I say, well, they gave us technology, they helped us, you know, they helped us to figure stuff out. They gave us engineering, they gave us, you know, farming. So, I mean, were they really that bad? You know, it's really a difficult question, I think.
Yes, because not a lot of elements are given. I can tell you the few that I know. The Anunnaki came, they were explorers, and they came to mine mine gold on our planet. Gold is very sought after in the galaxy.
Yes.
And the thing is, they found a race of primates on Earth. They were calling them the blackheads. And they thought, oh, they're kind of semi-intelligent. Use them to mine for us as workforce, slave.
Mhm.
So they start to take these primates to do work, but they weren't very well organized. They weren't very well responding to discipline. They were just too primitive. So they decide to modify them and breeding them with themselves,
Mhm.
and sometimes with other species of humans' DNA, but mostly with themselves. The first to do that was the head geneticist of the team. His name was Ia. He's called Anki.
Mhm.
He put his own DNA in a female primate and to see how it's going to work, and it worked. So they worked on that. They created this hybrid race in this particular area of the world, not on the whole planet, just this area. And the hybrids start to develop, and with time passing, build communities, tribal villages, things like that. The thing is, primates start to think they were not primates anymore. They were hybrids. They started to think for themselves and try to rebel to gain their sovereignty, because human is human, and that's what we do. We fight for our sovereignty.
Mhm.
And visitors decide they split into two branches. The military and power branch was saying, no, let's give them a lesson with catastrophic disaster, floods, earthquakes, to calm them down and weaken them, And then so Enlil was presiding to this branch of Anunnaki. Then Enki, the master geneticist, was a half brother of Enlil. He didn't agree for that. He said, no, I love that's my creation. I love these guys. Don't destroy them. Don't make them suffer. And they start to argue. Of course, military, more powerful, did a lot of havoc on Earth. And while at the end of the day, Enki and his team had to leave Earth. So that's the story of the Anunnaki that I know.
It does go with what Sitchkin said about it, but do you think that at the same time that they built the atom, I guess the atom, right, is what you're talking about, the being?
Yes. They called these hybrids the Adamu.
Adamu, right.
Adamu, yes. And that's the legend that has been written in the Bible. The Ancient Testament has been written based on ancient, very, very, very old text. You need to decrypt it.
Mhm.
And it's very interesting records. The Old Testament, I like it because it's a history book that you need to decrypt.
Mhm.
There's lots of answers in it. You need to
Yeah.
just read between the lines with
Yes.
the different perspective. And there's actually a lot of answers.
Mhm. Well, do you think that at the same time that all this was happening, there was another human that was already here,
Yes,
that was not in that area, a
yes,
self-developing human, maybe Neanderthal,
yes.
right?
We need to keep in mind that the Anunnaki episode, it was only in part of the world, all the Middle East, okay?
Mhm.
This Middle East area, only there. There were other humans living all the rest of the planet, which haven't been touched by the Anunnakis. And these primates developed at their own rhythm. Who were they, these primates? Well, the Anunnaki were not the first ETs to find Earth, okay? The Patal, the Intergalactic Confederation, the Cedars, had found Earth before them and had started developing life. There was a kind of more primate, a real indigenous primate animal that they decide to breed with other intergalactic, 12 intergalactic different genomes to create, put the seeds of different hybrid races on Earth. So I would say that all humans on Earth have a base of really Earth indigenous life, plus different extraterrestrial DNA. And not everyone has all, all the 22 DNA, different DNA. Some people will have more stronger human DNA. Some people will have Anunnaki plus Pleiadian plus Alpha Centaurian plus. So people are different things. It's very rare to find people with all the genomes together, but as humanity just breed with each other, that will happen at the end.
I think we're starting to see that now. It seems like young people are really attracted to the opposite, so we're seeing
yes,
a lot of blending. Yeah.
That blending, and that's the survival of the species. You will always, it's a biological natural drive that will drive you sexually to reproduce with someone who has different genes, because it will renew the species. When you breed within the same blood type, you're just going to make idiots, and so, but yeah, and I believe as things are going, that the humans of the future will be kind of the same blended new race. Maybe I think we will be, maybe, I don't know, kind of tan, slightly tan people, to try to do the mix of everyone. It's going to be interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. The Basque people, you mentioned them in your book. The
Yes.
Myra, is that the person you channeled?
Myra, yes.
The blonde.
Yes.
She
Rescued me. She was part of
right.
the team.
How is D protein different from RH factor and the Basque people, if you can go into it a bit?
When you're negative, you don't have this D protein, and when you're positive,
okay,
you have
so it's the same
the protein,
thing, right? It's the same thing. It's the rhesus.
Yes.
Okay. Some
Positive
people
or negative.
I'm a negative blood type. I don't have monkey in me, and I don't think that it really means that.
We all have the primate.
Yeah.
Somewhere we have a part of it, and that's what connects us. It is bodies actually to the planet, planetary energies and life and consciousness. This monkey genetics, and that's why we are connected to this beautiful planet. So the Basque, I know they are survivors from Atlantis.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
they are. When Atlantis sank, because they knew that it was progressive flooding. A lot of colonies went, a bit everywhere. And the Basque, because they lived in this geographical area that they have been secluded for millennia, and they kept this strength, genetic strength. And funnily, their they have relatives, cousins. It's only in one part of the world. It's Ireland.
Yes, that's
Interesting.
right. Yes.
Interesting.
And there's about the same amount of Rh negative people in Ireland as there are Basque people, right? Well, the
Yes,
Basque said
yes,
it was 40% in the Basque region, so that's a lot because in the rest of the world there's only 15%.
yes,
What
yes.
about Ireland? Is
I
it
don't know the percent of Ireland, but I know about the Irish people. They are very, very connected to the land. They are very psychic. They're very,
Mhm.
you know, they have something more interconnected with the magic and the mystical side of the world. They have something, yes, different, special. It is fascinating.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
haven't been in a
some
Basque country, but I'm sure that I will see the same thing with Basque people.
mhm. Do you think that that Irish people possibly did come from Egypt? The the
No,
migration?
well, there has been a migration from Egypt. The thing is, there's not a migration. There's been two waves of coming from Egypt. It wasn't migration of population. The first, it was around. It was when the Phoenician Empire was active. The Phoenicians were master in seafaring and sea
Mhm.
trade. So they were making a lot of business with Egyptians who had money, like royal family members and noble people, people, rich people. They would take them on a journey like tourism, and they would take them to Ireland, other places as well, but to Ireland and back. And sometimes the Egyptian was staying there. So there is Egyptian genetics, a little percentage in Irish people. There's very, very, very few. Then you had in the early Middle Ages hermits. The first hermits who came to Ireland came from Egypt, but these didn't breed with the locals. They were hermits, like but we never know. These ones, it's
Yeah,
a bit getting a bit lonely sometimes.
yeah. So it's
Probably.
Phoenicians, actually. That's what I meant. Phoenicians, not Egyptians. Yeah.
Oh, Phoenicians, yes, they were. Oh, probably. And there's been the people of Nemed. They were Greeks. There's a lot of Greek genes here.
Mm.
Small percent as well, but more Greek genes than Egyptians. Yeah, and the Milesians, the Galicians from Galicia. Okay,
Mm.
that's a big percent, big one.
Yes.
And the Vikings and so many. There's the book in Ireland. It's called the Book of Invasions. It's
Oh,
ancient.
really? That sounds
Yeah,
like a good one.
it's a good.
Well, Elena, I'm going to open up the floor to people. I'm sure that everyone here just loves you and has questions. So um, please ask your questions. And thank you so much for answering mine. That was great
No problem.
answers.
There were very good questions.
Thank you. Very good answers.
I hope.